This just proves this OKC Thunder team is built different and not playing around with their food this postseason run. With a chance to go up 3-0 on the Memphis Grizzlies, they found themselves at the bottom of a 29-point hole in the first half that they would miraculously climb out of to take the Game 3 victory and go up 3-0 in the series, putting the Grizzlies' backs against the wall early in the first round. We have a chance to close out the series in Game 4 in Memphis. But before we get into how this bodes for our 68-win season and our playoff run as a whole, let's just get into 68% of you watching this are not subscribed, and that is just a real shame. We just saw the Thunder go out there and put big effort on the floor in this Game 3 win. You can pay them back with a little subscribe to their news channel. So you want to hear Thunder news, and we're here to bring it to you through the rest of this playoff run into the offseason. Sign up for it now. But now we're going to break into this game and how the Thunder got into it. Looking at the series, we were up 2-0. We got this with a 51-point blowout in Game 1, followed by another sound 19-point win in the second game. Now, looking at this, a lot of people assumed that this would have been kind of what was happening in the series. A big dominant showing by the Thunder early. However, we go into Game 3 from there, and somewhere along the lines, we see it get ugly. It gets very ugly to the tune of a 29-point lead for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Thunder are down 29 in the first half, mind you, at that, and Memphis is a 98.5 win percent chance at this point in the game. And they always say that the notion of the playoffs is the series hasn't started until someone has claimed a road game. Because if Memphis has won these two games, their two home games, we go right back to OKC 2-2. These are very important, pivotal games in the series, especially a swing game like Game 3. Now, how do we respond from that? We're going to see, but something that does need to be noted before we get into that, John Morant does get injured, and he gets undercut by Lou Dort. Now, we're going to get into the specifics of this how this changed out the game in a second here, but with a little bit of time to play in the first half, John Morant gets a pass backwards from Scottie Pippen Jr., and Lou Dort has like this awkward slip when he's turning to address the ball when it gets passed backwards to Morant because he was behind him, and he loses his footing and slips. Like you can see as soon as he's turning, he's like actively falling over, and John Morant just gets his legs taken out, and he lands hard. I mean hard on his hip. I don't know if nothing's been released as of now that he's going to be back for Game 4. I don't know if he will be. But prayers up to him, man. You don't want to see any basketball players get hurt, and that just really was a shame. But whether you want to say it or not, it was a turning point in this game. And from that point on, we really started to open up an attack. Now, when you see this, we really closed the third quarter in the gap, and we really pressed the issue. Now we roll up to 4:51 left in the fourth quarter. 4:51 might be a time, if you pay attention to this game, that you're very aware of. And the reason why is because the Grizzlies did not score a single point after this time left in the game. They had a 3-point lead and still possessed a 67% chance to win, and they just couldn't get it done. We're just going to look at this Thunder team and how they did manage to get it done in this one, though. And I'm ecstatic that we're up 3-0 because this could have been – I'll be looking at this series in a whole lot of a different light, especially if it did end in a blowout. Not if we just fell short on the comeback, but if it ended in a blowout, man, I would have been having some second thoughts about really how sound this team was going to be, especially with the Clippers now up 2-1. But we're going to take a look now at it just feels great to be on a channel with Bryson because, man, this man dropped a video on Caruso being a difference maker yesterday. And what does he come out and do in the game? He plays phenomenal. He has 10 points. He has 5 stocks, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. The guy is phenomenal. He shot over 50% from the field, hit a 3, doing it all for the team. And all that goes to say that most of his impact doesn't even show up in the stat sheet. Caruso in the second half played phenomenal. And a big part of this was because when Ja got hurt, Caruso and Dort were the 2 assignments that got switched onto, believe it or not, Scottie Pippen Jr., who was really, really putting in a lot of work this game. He ended up with 28, 5, and 5 on a very efficient 6 for 10 from 3. He had a phenomenal game. And Caruso was a big difference maker in that because once Ja got injured, he started seeing Pippen on the floor a lot more, and Pippen, he started struggling in the second half. They started struggling to find looks. And that was a great sign for OKC coming into the second half, and it really played into their comeback. Now, take a look at another player instrumental in the comeback. We're going to look at Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren, 24 points in the game, 23 of those are coming in the second half. He was knocking down 3-ball after 3-ball in the second half. He looked phenomenal and comfortable. He was a big instrument in this comeback. Watching Chet play, he was spotting up well, and he was sitting in his spot in the offense, and he looked, even whenever he wasn't panicked, whenever we were down, and they kept chipping at the lead. Big part of that, Chet Holmgren in this one. And then the last component I want to talk about was Jalen Williams. He had 26 in this game, an efficient 26, and he's really stepped up in this postseason run. And because we have to talk about it with the lack of play from the production from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that we've seen these playoffs, because that's something that I'm a little bit concerned about at this point in time. Shai shooting 35% this postseason run. This is king of efficiency. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shooting 35% through these. Granted, it's 3 games, but I mean, I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm like, all right, Shai, I'm gonna need to see something now. And credit to Dub, because he's been carrying him through to this point. He has looked phenomenal. He's shooting 57% through this playoff run so far against these Grizzlies. He's averaging 2 steals a game. He's also chipping in 6 boards and 5 assists as well. He's looked phenomenal, and he looked phenomenal in that comeback win. Let's see what Shai had to say about Dub and also Chet in the comeback win. SGA says, they're the cream of the crop. We've seen that all season long. That's why we're the team we are. Tonight was just another night of them being themselves. On a night in Memphis, the stakes were a little bit higher, but to them, so level-headed, so poised. They were ready for the moment and took advantage of that moment. And that is just exactly what you want to see out of young year 3 guys like Chet, like Dub. You want to see them really just locking down and having these very good, important minutes, because this is a team that hasn't played a lot of important basketball because we've been up and ahead by so much this season. And to see them come into that role and thrive whenever we had our backs against the wall, that's what championship teams are made of those moments. Now, we're going to have to speak on what got us into this hole and where we need to improve for Game 4. Looking at a lot of the different things, the first thing that needs to be improved is free throw shooting. We missed 10 free throws. We missed 4 free throws in the last minute. We are lucky they did not come back and reclaim that game and that they didn't score in the last 5 minutes, because missing 4 free throws in crunch time usually doesn't get it done. Another thing I had a problem with, we turned the ball over a little too much. They had 15 points off turnovers, and they also had 15 fast break points. So a team like the Grizzlies, we want to keep them in the half court. A team that plays with pace like the Grizzlies, you want to have them really running a set offense, especially when they have a new coach and their set offense is going to be their weakest suit at especially this point in that process of adapting to the new coach. You want to get them in those sets, and you want to force them to really pick you apart in the half court, which is very hard to do against Oklahoma City. But that was a little bit of the things that I think they need to prove on going into Game 4. The Game 3 comeback was amazing. Let me know what you guys are thinking. This has been Gabriel Ebersole with Thunder Digest. Will the Thunder close it out in Memphis, in Game 4, or will they come back and do it in Game 5? Maybe you think the series goes 6 or 7. Whatever you're thinking, let me know in the comments. I'm excited to see what you guys are saying. I'm excited to see Game 4. Thunder playoff run's been going great so far. This has been Gabriel Ebersole with Digest Media. I'll see you guys in the next one.